this is the week. I'm really excited that heading into this weekend is our commitment service. And I know you guys by now have gotten these cards, and I hope they're somewhere where you can be praying for the initiative, as God's been really good to us. We're right on pace for where we should be. But in faith, we've tried to expand our goal. And so the hope is we would raise a little more in order to build the facility we need to keep up with all the growth that God is doing. And do hope you just take some time even this week again to pray through this information. Many of you guys made commitments last year. Thank you for your faithfulness in that. Pray that even you would take some time to pray through this and just think about what God is prompting in you, and if you're married, in your family, and really excited to gather this weekend and get to respond together. Tell you, last year it was something that honestly I was nervous about. Never did this before as a church. And just to see the response of this congregation, it was humbling, it was overwhelming, and just really thankful that we get to be on this journey of faith together. And so this week we got to talk about how one of the things that faith does in our lives, and faith is not just something we kind of mentally agree with the things of God, it makes no difference. What we've been seeing in Hebrews 11 is faith always becomes action. And what we saw is one of the fruits of that action in this section of scripture is courage. That faith will call us to courage. And one of the questions that we asked in the sermon is, if you knew you couldn't fail, right? If you knew failure wasn't an option, what would you attempt to do for Christ? And ultimately in our lives, there will be setbacks, there will be disappointment, there will be loss, there will be resistance. But ultimately, Jesus has overcome the grave. His work in you will not fail. If you're a Christian, your end is heaven, and you can walk in the confidence of ultimately, God's not going to fail. And so I'm going to live with some courage in that. It may not go how I think. It's definitely not health and wealth gospel. But there is a sense in an age of anxiety and fear that Christians should have a confidence, not in themselves, but from the Spirit of God and from the reality of the resurrection of Christ. And so pray you just take some time to be encouraged by the truth that God wins in you. And how does that produce courage? What's a step of faith you could take that you feel like God's prompting in you to be courageously? And what would it look like if deep down you knew at the end of the day, God's work won't fail in you? And so hope you guys have a great discussion, and looking forward to next weekend.